Jake, I have an unbelievably secret message for you.
Wild, Uncle Basil. Who's it from?
Well now, if I told you that, lad, then it would hardly be a secret, would it? Just read it and follow its instructions exactly. And no more silly questions.
It says, "What ho, young eaglets? Come to Kenilworth Castle, I prithee, to help us defend our castle from the Bloxham brigands." Signed, the DD. Totally weird. Well, you heard the instructions. Let's get over to Kenilworth Castle. I wonder who DD is, and what could they want with us at Kenilworth? Let's see. It's 10:32 now. Grab the train schedule in your Eagle Eye handbook so we can figure out which platform to head to. Which platform do we need to find to catch the next train to Kenilworth? Remember, it's already 10:32. Great! Let's head to platform 9 to hop on the 10:45 train up to Kenilworth and meet up with DD.
What's all, Jake? You must have gotten my message. I'm so thrilled you could come. Welcome to Kenilworth Castle. I'm Mr. Darby, the commander of Darby's Defenders.
Glad to meet you, Mr. Derby. Your note said something about attackers. Is someone really trying to take over Kenilworth Castle?
Absolutely, but not in real life. We're only acting, Jake. It's the castle game. Every year, 2 teams of people get together to reenact a miniature castle siege. Each side dresses up in authentic old costumes. It makes history come alive, you see. This year, my team, the Derby Defenders, are defending a castle, and the Bloxham brigands are determined to take it from us.
How is the castle game played, Mr. Derby?
Well, we build a model castle, and they build a model siege engine, the kind of weapon attackers use to break down castle gates and walls. Then judges look at the 2 models and figure out which would have won in a real siege. That side wins.
Cool! What castle are you using as a model, Mr. Derby?
That would be telling. It's something we try to keep secret. But I hope you'll help us find out what the Bloxham brigands are up to.
I'm not sure it would be right for us to help you, Mr. Derby. Is that legal to do in your game?
Absolutely. They spy on us, we spy on them. It's part of the game. But you must say what-o when you meet people involved in the castle game. That tells them you are playing too. The leader of the Bloxham brigands is in the Tower of London, researching his siege weapon. See what you can find out from him and his men. And find our engineer, Miss Mantlet, at the London Toy and Model Museum. She's helping plan our defence. Say, "Lower the drawbridge," to her, so she'll know your friends are Derby.
What ho, Miss Mantlet? Lower the drawbridge.
What ho, children! You must be our secret agents in the castle game. Here, let me show you what I have found. In the castle game, you see, we build a small replica of a castle. and the Bloxham Brigands will build a small siege device. These castle toys show exactly what we're up against. I'm certain the Bloxham Brigands are building one of these 4 weapons. But which one? You know, castles weren't made to be impressive or to be comfortable, but to keep the peace and stop invaders in times of war. They were carefully designed for this purpose. With a castle, a small group of soldiers could defend against a much larger army. If the enemy left them alone, they could launch surprise attacks against the invaders and then return to the safety of their castle. It's very hard to invade a country that has hundreds of castles, as England had years ago. In the castle game, we are faced with the same dilemmas that the dukes and earls who owned castles worried about in those days. But for us, it's not a matter of life and death. For them, it was.
Don't worry, Miss Mantlet. We'll find out what sort of siege the Bloxham Brigands are planning. Let's go. Guys in costume. I bet those are the Bloxham Brigands.
Hello. Halt. Who goes there? Friend or foe?
What ho! Just a pair of children, my lord, out to see the royal armories. All hail the Bloxham Brigands.
Quite right, quite right. Step lively then. You may pass.
Looks like the leader of the Brigands is conferring with one of his buds. Let's try and sound as medieval as they do when we talk with them. That's part of the fun of the castle game.
The professor at the University of London has finished his formula, Sir Bartisan. In a moment I'll be free to rush it to Warwick Castle. It's vital to our plan.
Shh! Do you hear that? The Bloxham Brigands have a professor at the University of London working for them. And it sounds like their headquarters are in Warwick Castle. As soon as we are done here in London, let's buzz out to Warwick Castle and have a look around. What ho! Suits of armor that walk and talk? Are you a new part of the armor exhibit?
What ho! No, my lad. We are here plotting the overthrow of Castle Derby.
Soon to become Castle Bloxham. Hear, hear.
But just having fancy armor won't get you into a castle. They're usually tall and the walls are very thick.
Ah, over the years, soldiers have developed many ways to enter a castle without being invited. You can use siege ladders to get over the walls.
Or you can take a battering ram and smash in the front gate. Quite a surprise that can be. Or you can sling huge stones at the castle with a big catapult.
Or you can build a big siege tower. Archers climb to the top and shoot arrows over the castle wall at the soldiers inside. Then soldiers can climb from the tower over the top of the castle wall and attack.
Those are the 4 classic ways to overthrow a castle. Ladders, battering ram, catapult and siege tower.
So which way do you plan to use to get into the Castle Derby?
Oh, my lad, we cannot tell you that. We have spies sussing out the Derby defence. As surely as we stand here, they have spies snooping about in return. They'll never learn our secret, until it's too late.
Professor Mathan studies Britain's ancient history. He must be the one the Bloxham Brigands were talking about. What ho, Professor?
Eh? Oh yes, quite so. What ho?
What is that you're working on? It smells pretty awful.
It is my own formula for Greek fire, one of the great military weapons of all time. Once it's spread on something and set alight, it's beastly hard to put out.
Greek fire? What's in it?
You know, for centuries people have sought the answer to that question. A Greek supposedly taught the secret to the people of Constantinople when that city was besieged long ago. The Crusaders eagerly sought its secret, since Greek fire often was used to destroy their fortresses and ships. But no one ever told them, and neither will I tell you.
To get to Warwick Castle, we take the train going northwest, towards Coventry. You know, the castle's name is spelled Warwick, but it's pronounced Warwick. A lot of British place names are pronounced a little differently than they look. Like the Thames River. It's pronounced Thames, so it rhymes with gems. I guess it's because these words are so old that the sound of the language has changed a little, even if their spellings stay the same. It's kind of neat when you think about it. Wow, what an incredible collection of armor and stuff. Castles are so cool. Why don't we have any of them back in America? I wonder. Look, Bloxham brigands are hanging out here. Let's act like tourists and see what we can find out. What ho! Excuse us, kind sirs.
What lad? Let me finish what I was saying. Even if they build a model of Warwick Castle itself, we'll overcome them, ho-ho. Now, can I help you young Yanks?
Oh, we were wondering how someone might attack a castle like this one. It seems really impossible to do.
Oh, not really. For example, you could build a... Wait a moment, you aren't with those Derby do-gooders, are you, what-o? Push off now, goodbye.
Uh-oh, sounds like they're on to us. But did you hear what he said? Even if they build a model of Warwick Castle, we'll overcome them.
Good day, children. Are you ready for a tour of the castle grounds? It's rather a hike, you know. The walls are very long and the towers quite high.
No problemo. If you'll guide us, we'd love to see Warwick Castle. Miss Maudie, we're really into sieges and catapults and battering rams and stuff. Can you tell us much about that?
Of course, being able to withstand sieges is what castles are really all about. As we go around, I'll tell you what I know about attacking and defending castles.
Miss Maudie, we were wondering, why aren't there any castles like Warwick back in America?
Because by the time your country was settled, castles had lost their usefulness. When cannons that fired big metal balls were invented, castles became obsolete. In the year 1453, the Turks invented a cannon that could fire a ball weighing 600 pounds. That would destroy almost any wall or topple any tower. There are a few castles in the States, actually, but they're not real fortresses like this one. Most of them, like the Hearst Castle in California and the Gillette Castle in Connecticut, were built by wealthy people who just fancied the idea of living in a castle of their own. Castle walls are meant to keep invaders out. To keep people from hopping over with ladders, Warwick Castle's walls are tall and well protected with great towers. If anyone made ladders tall enough to get over, the archers in the towers could shower them with arrows. Only a siege tower could have any hope of defeating these walls.
What exactly is a siege tower, Miss Maudie?
It's like a wooden castle on wheels. Attackers would build one out of range of the castle, then slowly move it forward a few feet at a time. When it got close enough to the castle, the men inside the siege tower could shoot arrows or lob things down into the castle. Then they could climb over the walls from the siege tower, and now they were inside. That usually was the end of that.
Did anyone ever use a siege tower against Warwick Castle?
I don't think so. You see, Warwick is next to a river, and it's surrounded by a moat. That's a wide ditch filled with water. It would be too hard to get a siege tower close to Warwick Castle. This open area inside the walls was called the bailey. In times of siege, it would be full of supplies. Farmers and people from nearby towns would also take refuge here against the invaders. But if the attackers had catapults, they could hurl stones and darts over the walls, and if they used Greek fire, it could spread and destroy the castle.
Greek fire? What's that all about?
It was an especially terrible form of oil spread over a boulder. Attackers would set it on fire, then shoot flaming balls into a castle. Of course, to do that, you had to have a catapult. Nobody knows precisely what Greek fire was made of, but it couldn't be put out with water. It was a devastating advantage during the siege. That's one ancient secret that's best left forgotten.
What's that under the tarp, Miss Maudie?
It's a model of something that's being built by the men in armour for something called the castle game. I have no idea what it is. It's a secret. That is Warwick's gatehouse. Front gates are often weak points in a castle's walls, but these gates are strongly defended. Even a battering ram would probably be useless against them.
What exactly is a battering ram, Miss Maudie?
Think of a giant log with an iron knob on one end, hanging by chains from a wooden frame, and picture hundreds of men pushing on it in rhythm, swinging it into a gate as if they were beating on a giant drum. Boom, crash, boom. That's a battering ram. But Warwick has two heavy iron gates that can be raised and lowered, called portcullises. While an attacker tried to break them down, defenders could pour boiling oil on them from the walls above. Horrible. Warwick Castle was sacked in the 13th century during the civil wars of Henry III. So after that, it was made stronger by adding two great towers, Caesar's Tower and Guy's Tower. They both are at least 5 stories tall, and they are very strong towers with parapets and loopholes.
What are those, Miss Maudie?
The top wall on a castle, with stone teeth sticking up every few feet, is called a parapet. The defending soldiers would use the parapets to hide from enemies' arrows, while they shot their own arrows down at the attackers.
A loophole is a little window in a castle wall for firing arrows or guns. If you were on the inside of the castle, you could fire out, but it made it awfully hard for enemies to shoot back in. Castle features have many other neat names too, like Merlin and plinth and battlements. Castle building is really a whole lost science.
That castle stuff is so cool. Next time I'm in a library, I'm going to see if I can get my hands on a book that'll teach me more about it. Jen will be amazed if I come up with words she's never heard of. I think we're ready to tell the Derby defenders how to defend their castle. Pick the clues that show them the secret. Point out the siege weapon the castle derby should defend against. Bullseye! The Bloxham Brigands are building a catapult. We heard one of the brigands tell his leader about a formula that was vital to their success. He said a professor was developing it. When we visited Professor Mathan, he told us the formula was for Greek fire, a kind of flaming oil used in sieges. At Warwick Castle, Miss Maudie told us that attackers could only use Greek fire if they had a catapult. So that had to be what the brigands were building.